and welcome to the introduction to the newest All Is Calm bundle, which includes the All Is Calm stamp set and stencil pack. This is a beautiful bundle which depicts Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. The stencils can be used all on their own or alongside the stamp set. It shows on the back of the packaging what the imagery looks like. So the stencils, there are 3 of them in the pack. They measure 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, so they're nice and small, but it fits a standard size card very nicely. I'm just layering these 3 stencils up kind of roughly to give you an idea of what it looks like and how it comes together. Now, as far as the All Is Calm stamp set, you can use it on its own. Just stamp those outline images, color them with the medium of your choice, or you can stamp them over top of your blended images for more of a defined look. I'm going to show you how easy this is to put together with the stencil pack. They are numbered, stencil 1, 2, and 3. I'm starting with stencil 1. You really don't have to go in order. It works any way you go. Okay, starting with Pebble, going to be using all Concord 9th inks, using Concord and 9th blender brushes, a little bit of Pebble for Joseph's head covering, head scarf. What do you call that thing he wore on his head? Veil? I'm not sure. Okay, here's the manger, the little wooden manger I'm doing out of wheat. And you can make these as intense and dark or very light, depending on how much pressure you put with your brush. And of course, they can be customized in 1,000,001 color combinations. Now for Mary's gown or dress, I use spice cider. I'm probably not saying the wordings correctly of what they wore. I should Google this. Head covering, gown, dress. You get the idea. So now this is Joseph's robe. Okay, I'm using artichoke. I kind of was really just going off of the packaging for inspiration of colors. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I really like the color choices they used, and I just kind of emulated that. But if you wanted to make Joseph wear, all brown or black or whatnot. Now, this little bit right here is a beard. Okay, so I went with wheat, and I just kind of gave him a brown beard. I mean, it could be black. We're not really sure. It was probably brownish black, I'm guessing, just from the, region. Okay, now here's a little blanket that the baby was wrapped in. I did a very light aqua. And then the head covering for Mary, a little bit of blueberry, which I love. I love that blueberry with the spice cider gown. Again, this was just on the back of the packaging. I can't take credit, because Concord 9 just knows how to do it. Okay, look at how that's coming together. 2 stencils. Here's stencil number 3. And I'm doing a little nectar. And this bottom part is all the face and hands. And so I just did kind of a skin color. Of course, you can make it darker if you want to make it more olivey skin or dark toned skin. You can customize that. And then the star up above, I did a little buttercup. This would also be cool if you want to add a little what's that, like paste? You can make it glittery and shimmery if you wanted to do that with the star. Okay, so you could stop right here and keep it very, very simple. A blended nativity scene for the holidays if you like that look. But if you want to go one step further and give it more defined, I'm adding the stamped images over top. So first I'm stamping Mary. This really gives it this kind of illustrative storybook feel. And as far as lining these up over top of the blended images, you just got to get over top of it and try to line it up as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect because it kind of gives you that feel of a storybook look. So it's not like perfection. And there you have the All Is Calm stamp and stencil products working together. I went ahead and created 2 cards to show you. One is with the stencil alone, one is with the stamp and stencil together. This one here, stamp and stencil together. I embossed the All Is Calm. That arch is from a previous die set, Friendly Flowers. I just die cut that arch out of some pebble cardstock. And then here, couldn't get simpler. But sometimes I just love this clean white panel on a white card base. Oh, holy night. That's all you need. Keep it calm. All is calm for the holidays. And that is the introduction to the All Is Calm stamp set and stencil pack. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the newest Christmas Cloche bundle, which includes a stamp set and a die set. So as far as the cloches, there are two cloche dies. One's larger and one's smaller. There's a bunch of images, a bow, a bell, some pine bow, a little highlight. There's a large Christmas tree. There's some smaller, you can customize the height of this buildable tree, stars, berries, an adorable deer and fox that you can build, some snow, hilly snow parts, some garland for the tree. There's a sentiment that says Merry. And then for the stamp set, there's a great sentiment you can stamp inside the cloche, wishing you joy and good cheer. There's Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Season's Greetings. There's a little snow flurries. There's a face and hooves for the deer. There's a face and ears for the fox. Some other smaller little sentiments, and again, little greenery. Okay, so I'm going to show you the die cuts. I die cut them to kind of show you what they look like. First up is this beautiful Merry script word die. Look at it. I die cut it out of some cranberry cardstock. It's just very dainty and intricate, and I just love the way it looks. There's an adorable bow that's, I think it's about 4 different pieces you can layer up, but it gives it that real dimensional look. Looks so great out of poppy cardstock. I mean, you stick a red bow on anything and it's ready to party. Look at this little bell. I die cut it out of some matte gold cardstock. You could do silver. Should I sing it? Silver bells. Some greenery, some stars, different types of stars. Here's the big tree, and I put the little dots, for ornaments or berries. You can use them for berries or ornaments. A little bit of matte gold garland, draping it down the tree, cascading. And this is fun. You can put that in the cloche, or you could use it by itself. Either way you go. There's also this kind of builder tree. It's 3 dies. So if you want to use all 3, you can see I used all 3 to make a tall, skinny tree. But you could use the top 2. You could use 1. I'll show you a project at the end where I kind of made 3 different heights of trees just out of that one little die. And then here's a little mini, just a little cute little mini. And all these things can fit in the cloche, but they can also be used by themselves. Check out the fox and the deer. I mean, forget about it. Okay, so you die cut the fox and the deer out of solid color cardstock, and then the stamp set allows you to add little details like the face and the hooves, and even little dots on top of the deer. And there's also teeny tiny little dies for inside of the ears. Here's a little highlight for the cloche. This is the larger cloche. This is the smaller cloche. See how they can layer together? And then if you put the 2 together and die cut them at once, you can get a little outline, which I did here. You could create that just as an outline. You could make it a shaker. Here's a cloche base. That's 2 separate dies. I layered up with 2 shades of gray. And then there's also a little die that creates kind of a snowy little base. I layered those together with some white glitter cardstock. It's just a nice little base to set your trees on, to put your little critters on. I'll show you how it looks here. Set the tree on this snowy hill, and you can layer your trees, layer your critters, and just get into the festive mood of the cloche. Now, there's a lot of other things that you could put in the cloche, like whatever you can think of. You want to put a nutcracker, maybe from past releases, a car, a truck, different trees you might have. Here's an adorable red house from Over the Rooftops coming out this release. Look how it fits in the cloche. I mean, I love that. I love that red, beautiful house in a cloche with a red bow. Maybe you want to keep it traditional. Put a Christmas tree in there. Look at how pretty that looks. Very traditional, classy, never go out of style. You can add all types of embellishments to the top of your cloche with the bells, the bows, the pine, the greenery. I mean, you could tie some twine around it. Look at how you can do the greenery, different styles. You just flank it and you get your festive on. I mean, what more is there to it? Okay, I'm going to share a couple projects, actually a few. I mean, I had fun. I had fun with the Christmas cloche. Here's the one where I did the 3 different sizes of trees. And look at that fox. Now for the cloche, I used some of the new Fa La La pattern paper. I embossed a sentiment down on the base. And now here's one that I zhuzhed up to the high heavens. I turned the cloche into a shaker. I took that gold outline, backed it with acetate. I did a white glitter tree. The background was stamped using the Ornament Turnabout with white pigment ink on Nectar cardstock. I feel like I was channeling my inner Carissa Wiley on this card, and I'm here for that. Also, since I was going the extra mile, I zhuzhed up an envelope using some of the new Lined with Love dies. I used some more Fa La La pattern paper to make a liner on the inside. Look at this cute little delivery truck and that Hello word die and this little addressing die cut. This is all from the Lined with Love die set, and it coordinates well with my card. And then one last bright red poppy cloche. I embossed that large sentiment in white on that poppy cloche. And again, the background was stamped with the Ornament Turnabout. I did a nectar bow. I added some greenery and some gold bells. I should have did silver bells. What was I thinking? But this card is very bright and happy. So there you have the introduction to the gorgeous new Christmas cloche stamp set and dies. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Festive Corner Cuts die set. This is a unique die set that creates a very detailed, intricate pattern on the corner of a standard A2 size card panel. And in this die set, you also get a couple of word dies. You have Noel, Merry Christmas, some pine greenery, a couple different sizes of poinsettia blooms, and then the little centers of the poinsettia. So I went ahead and die cut everything to show you so you can really see the detail and the size of it all. Okay, so here I die cut the festive corner into a panel of green cardstock, cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so you can see how it perfectly fits into that corner. I have a Spellbinders Platinum machine and I did not need a shim, but you might consider using a shim since this is so intricate and detailed. But I will tell you, the Concord 9th cardstock cuts like butter. I never have trouble with it. Here we have the Merry Christmas die cut with white cardstock onto a poppy shadow backer, very festive for the holidays. And then here we have Noel. It's more of a scripty, very dainty. I did it with white cardstock onto a peacock shadow backer. And then here are the 2 different sizes of poinsettia blooms. You can use them separately if you want to make a larger poinsettia or smaller if you want to layer them together. And it also kind of embosses this beautiful detail into the bloom. I did some cranberry and poppy there for color reference. The little pine greenery, you get 2 different sizes of greenery, a larger one and a smaller one. And then these 2 little centers for the poinsettia blooms, they could also be stars or just little embellishments, but they fit great in the center of the poinsettia blooms. Okay, so I created a couple cards to share using the new Festive Corner Cuts die set. And I gotta tell you, I didn't know I was gonna love this die set as much as I did until I started playing with it. So I die cut it into a panel of ballet slippers. I stripped it up to the high heavens. I added that Noel word die cut, bunch of poinsettias. I did poinsettias on both cards. Here for the sentiment, I did that scripty Mary from the Christmas cloche out of gold glitter cardstock. For the second card, I created a square panel out of clover cardstock and die cut the festive corner on both sides, making a square, cocked it on an angle, keeping it trendy. And that is the introduction to the Festive Corner Cuts dies. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Holiday Sayings die set. This die set's pretty straightforward. Each sentiment has its own shadow piece. It's very versatile. I was able to combine it with several sets from this September release. You can use it with any products that you have. There are 5 word dies in this die set. I've die cut them all to show you. This is a font that Concord 9th has used in other word die sets. We've kind of come to know and love it. First we have Peace. And then we have Very Merry. it's kind of a bold, it's not dainty, you know what I mean? It's hefty. It can stand the test of time. And then we have Ho Ho Ho, very cheery in white and poppy. And then here we have Deck the Halls. It's a larger one, so it's going to take up a good amount of size on a standard size card. And then for a small, little perfect one, we have Joy. And I love these so much. They're just always there for you to grab and go. I've created a couple cards using these new Holiday Sayings dies. This first one features the Peace Word die. I die cut it out of matte silver and the shadow backer out of vellum. And here we have that cute little Joy out of white on a peacock shadow backer. Both of the cards are paired with the Ornament dies, and for the background I use the Ornaments Turnabout. So you can really pair these Holiday Sayings dies with just about everything. They are very versatile. And that is the introduction to the new Holiday Sayings dies. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Ornaments Turnabout stamp set. This is a new turnabout. We've come to know and love the turnabouts. This one's full of ornaments for all your playful holiday background needs. There's also a mix of greetings, perfect for the outside and the inside of your cards. I love the back of the packaging. It shows you each turn how you can build it. You can make it very simple and you can fill every gap. You can mix and match colors for a lot of variety of color combinations. So for sentiments, we have fa la 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 la. Let's hang. Very merry. May your holidays be full of joy. Happy holidays. We've got a little Deck the Halls. And then lastly, we have love and joy. So these are great sentiment options. Like I said, could go on the front of the card, could go on the inside of the card. I'm going to load this turnabout into my MISTI. I am using the Jig by Concord 9th, which is invaluable if you're using a turnabout. If you're not familiar with the Jig, go on the Concord 9th website and watch the how-to video. I always refer to the packaging on my Jig. It's like, I don't know, I never remember, but it's very simple. Okay, first turn, I'm inking up with Poppy ink. And you don't want to press too hard, just a little tap, tap, tap will do. If you like to use a stamp press thingamajiggy to help you get even coverage, that's a handy dandy tool. But I was able to get it just perfectly fine using my hands. And one stamp gave beautiful coverage. I'm rotating the Jig and I'm going to clean off my stamp and ink it up with a second color. You don't have to use 4 different colors. I'll show you after this a few different examples of different color combinations and different looks you can get. But this second turn, I'm inking up with honeysuckle ink, which is kind of an unlikely choice to pair with Poppy, but I was just trying to, test it out. Make it cheerful, make it playful, make it festive. Okay, so there we have Poppy and honeysuckle. Now you could stop right here. You almost have like little rows of ornaments, but I'm going to rotate it to the third point. And I did notice one little thing. When I use my magnet on my MISTI, if I kind of bump it up to the Jig, it just kind of locks it into place, but it doesn't get in the way. Okay, we're on the third turn, and I'm inking up using Nectar. Don't sleep on Nectar. I feel like it is the perfect neutral. It goes with everything. And so I thought, why not throw it in with Poppy and honeysuckle? We've got a little Nectar, and then we're rotating it for the fourth turn, the fourth and final turn. Now, what color should you go here? I didn't want to add any more competing colors, so I pulled out Cobblestone, which is kind of a muted beigey gray. It's like a beigey gray, for lack of a better description. And I thought it went well to kind of tone down this excitement. You know what I mean? Just kind of mute it a little bit because it's popping. And now we have filled in every gap with ornaments. You've got a complete background fit together like a puzzle piece. Only Concord 9th knows how to do it. It's magic. So here's a couple different varieties. This is the one that I just stamped. And by the way, when you let it dry, that ink smooths out like butter. It's perfection. It gets me every time. Okay, now here's one. I just did Pink Lemonade. All 4 turns, Pink Lemonade on white cardstock. It's very soft. Here I did all 4 turns with Aqua Sky on Aqua Sky cardstock. Now you'll notice some of them are darker and some are lighter. Sometimes I stamp twice, and when you stamp twice, it gets a little bit more vivid, and I like that variation. Now here's the showstopper. White pigment ink on Nectar cardstock. I'm telling you, it looks like velvet. Do white pigment ink on any solid color cardstock and prepare to just knock your socks right off. I love that look. Okay, so I was able to use these backgrounds and combine them with several different sets from this September release. Here we have the Aqua Sky on Aqua Sky cardstock. I put it on a peacock card base. I used the ornament behind it with that Joy word die from the holiday sayings. And here we have that pink lemonade on white cardstock. I used the ornament die and turned it into a shaker. We've got the peace word die from the holiday sayings. And on the background is some of that Fa La La pattern paper, very light harbor blue snowflake pattern paper in the background. Hard to see, but then there's a white glitter bow that I put on top of the ornament from Christmas Cloche. Again, I paired the Christmas Cloche die set, stamp set with that colorful ornament background. Everything just works together. So all the products can fit together, maybe with stuff you already have or stuff from this September release. And that is the introduction to the new Ornaments Turnabout stamp set. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Ornament Stamp and Stitch bundle. And this includes the Ornament Stamp and Stitch stamp set as well as the Ornament Stamp and Stitch dies. So the idea behind this is that you can create ornaments with the stamp set. You can use the coordinating stitching dies to add more detail. Here we have a Let's Be Merry stamp. You can use the Let's Be and the Merry. You can stamp those in the white space of that ornament. Happiest holidays, merry and bright. There's all kinds of little dots and stars, things that you can use to embellish your ornaments. You can stamp in a variety of different colors. Now for the dies, there are two different sizes of ornaments, two different sizes of ornament toppers. There are three different stitching dies that coordinate with the stamp set to add stitching detail. There's some greenery, stars, there's some berries that you can use, all of this to embellish. There's some little details that you can add to the top and bottom of your ornament. There's a word die. It says Holly Jolly. And I've die cut all these to show you. You really can mix and match all these things to create a lot of different looks. Now, first thing is the size difference, the smaller and the larger, just so you can see that for reference. This smaller one here I stamped with that Let's Be Merry with Sprout ink. And then in the white space, I stamped that Merry with Oceanside. So that looks really, really fun. Then I took the coordinating stitching die, cut the holes in the little stars, and I stitched it with some, it looks like kind of nectar colored floss, and then a matte gold ornament topper. Now this ornament here, very quick and simple, no stitching, just a white die cut ornament, and then I stamped that detail with poppy ink. I added a matte gold ornament topper. So just goes to show you don't need stitching, but if you want to do stitching, here's one that can just knock your socks right off. Okay, I used that same stamp that I did on the red ornament, but I did green on green, and then I used the stitching die, and there's a lot of zigzags and all that stuff. I am by no means an expert stitcher, but look at the mess on the back. But it's a party on the front. And I had a lot of fun doing it too. Okay, so here's another one. Just using a mixture from the stamp and stitching dies to create a variety of patterns. That's the stamp I used on this ornament. And then right here is the stitching die that I used. And here is the detail to the top and bottom that you can add, like little accents to the top and bottom of your ornament. One is kind of straight, like this one here is straight. The one below it kind of has a scallop. So just a lot of ways you can customize and add detail. Here's a larger ornament that I die cut out of some of that Fa La La pattern paper pack. And I added a matte gold topper. Very simple. You could turn that into a tag, put it on a gift. And then here's another larger one out of Aqua Sky cardstock. I put the Holly Jolly word die on it. Some of those stars. I added some of the greenery, a few berries to zhuzh it up. Okay, I'm going to show you how easy it is to combine the Stamp and Stitch stamp set with the coordinating stitching dies. First, we have this Let's Be Merry stamp. I die cut one of the smaller ornaments out of white cardstock. I'm lining up that Let's Be Merry stamp, inking it up with Aqua Sky ink, and I'm going to stamp it using my Misty. You don't have to use a Misty, but I just find it's easier to get perfect placement. And so there you have that Let's Be Merry Aqua Sky base on a white die cut ornament. You could stop right there. I mean, it looks great. But if you want to zhuzh it up, you can add more to it. So there is a stitching die. Now this one is really, really fun. It has the E, so you know when you line it up with that E, it's going to line up the stitching dies perfectly with the stars on the ornament. So all you need to do is match up that E, tape it down, run it through your die cutting machine, and now you have the holes placed right where those stars are. And then you can add stitching detail. I'm not going to show the stitching, but hopefully you know how to do stitching. You probably know how to do stitching better than me. Okay, so that's the Let's Be Merry. Now here's another die cut ornament. You can do this one of two ways. You can die cut first and then stamp, or you can stamp the design first and then die cut the stitching. So either way you go, potato, potato. This one here, I am die cutting the stitching design into an Aqua Sky ornament. Okay, so I'm die cutting first, and then you'll see it puts the stitching holes in the ornament. And you could just go ahead and stitch just like that, but if you want to add some stamping details, put it back on your Misty and then find the specific stamp that lines up with those stitching holes. And all you got to do is just make sure that the little center blooms line up with the holes on the stitching holes. So it's really easy to line up. I'm going to stamp this design using Oceanside ink onto Aqua Sky cardstock. So you can really customize the colors 1,000,001 ways. Okay, so I like to stamp this twice. You know what they say? Stamp it twice to make it nice. Again, you could stop right here. It still looks pretty even with those stitching holes just left open. But here I added some green floss. I added a few of those kind of berry dots. You could do enamel dots or gem stickers, whatever, floats your boat. Okay, one last one, just because. Okay, we have some grapefruit cardstock. I die cut another ornament. I'm going to stamp it with this ornament design. So I'm going to stamp using grapefruit ink onto grapefruit cardstock. I love to do a tone on tone. I'm always here for a monochromatic moment. It just lights my fire. Okay, so there we have grapefruit onto grapefruit. Do you like grapefruit, by the way? You ever eat a grapefruit? You sprinkle a little sugar on there, dig your spoon in. It's kind of refreshing and delightful. I haven't done it for a while. Okay, so now I'm going to take one of these stitching die designs. Now this is one of those, I said you can die cut first, stamp first. Here I stamped first, and then I'm lining up the die cut. You can see the open holes allow you to center it, know exactly where it needs to be lined up to add those stitching details. And then I'm not going to show the stitching because I stitched like a turtle, but you got the zigzag and all the fun things you can do. Here's one that's finished. Okay, I ended up using these ornament stamp and stitch dies a lot of different ways. Here's one where I used the ornament die to create a shaker. And so no stitching, no stamping, just shaking. And then here I used the ornament die and I stripped it up. I stripped it up on an ornament. And then I used the Holiday Sayings Joy word die for that one. Here's my two stamped and stitched ornaments. Very detailed and intricate and beautiful. For the background, I used some of that Fa La La pattern paper. I embossed a sentiment from the Ornaments stamp set, a little bit of greenery. And then here I created an ornament shape card tag. How fun is that? There is the pattern paper on the back from the Fa La La, light harbor blue, little enamel dots for the berries, the Holly Jolly word die, a little bit of twine on top. You can tie that to your gift. So cute. And that is the introduction to the new Ornaments Stamp and Stitch bundle. Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Over the Rooftop bundle. This includes the Over the Rooftop stamp set along with the Over the Rooftop dies. It allows you to create a really adorable street scene. There's 3 different types of buildings or homes. You can customize it with all the details. A wrought iron fence right here. There are steps. There are 3 different doors. Some roofing details. You can mix and match the color. There's 4 little wreaths, a vertical banner, some wreath bows. And here's a station wagon. And then you can create a Christmas scene with Santa in his sleigh and the reindeer up high in the sky. There's a sun or a moon. There's clouds or shrubbery. Another banner, heart, star. This is a circular disc that can make it interactive from night to day with stars if you want. And then this little thing here is like a hilly or snowy hilly backdrop that you can customize. Some banners or garland, some trees, an arched banner for sentiments. There's a tree topper to go on top of the station wagon, and then sentiments to go with it. You have these arched sentiments that fit perfectly in that arched die, and they fit great on the wheel, like so. There's the die that coordinates with that, and a bunch of tiny little sentiments that fit in vertical to go on that vertical banner like that, little ones that you can put on the house. I'll show you how this all comes together. There's some snow that you can stamp on that disc detail to make it like wintry. And then there's a turn stamp to show you that it's interactive. Some larger sentiments, hello, happy, welcome to the neighborhood. You can pair that together. Just a lot of ways to mix and match. Let's be jolly, holidays, hello. So these are sentiments that carry you throughout the year. I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite bundles I've seen in a very long time. I mean, just looking at this makes me giddy. I don't know if you can tell. If you're into architecture, this is going to be your jam. Okay, so it looks like I've put this all together, but actually everything's loose because I want to walk you through all the details. You gotta just buckle in, okay? All right, so let's start with the back disc. You can cut this. I did a yellow one. If you want to put it behind the star opening to make like yellow stars, or you can leave it open and just make like white stars, white or yellow. If you want yellow, die cut a yellow disc and put it behind. I die cut that disc out of blueberry, and then I did another out of harbor, cut it in half so you can rotate it from day to night. Okay, and then I cut the snowy hill out of white so it can look like snow. And you have this little grounding. It's kind of like a street. And then I made little snowy banks down along the bottom. Now for Santa and his sleigh. You have 4 reindeer. You can do more, but 4 fits on this little string-like thing that you can die cut. And it's kind of like a silhouette. So I did it all out of black cardstock. You don't want to get too crazy. You know, if you looked up in the sky, you're probably going to see the silhouette of Santa on his sleigh. It looks really cute up there. Now, I went ahead and stamped a sentiment, Merry Christmas to all, die cut it with that arched banner. See how it fits perfectly on top of there? You can add some stars for detail. Now for the houses. Oh my goodness gracious, the houses just slay me all day long, especially for the holidays. The detail is outstanding. Okay, let's talk about it. You can do the houses, the buildings, in a variety of different color. You have the red garland, the black rooftop, the wreath with the red bow. You've got the molding out of aqua sky, a black double door, gray steps, a black wrought iron fence. Here we have a red house with a nectar detailing and a brown roof. That vertical banner, I embossed joy on it, added some wreaths with aqua sky bow, and then you have the detailing, door, sidewalk, wrought iron fence. Here we have a light nectar building with some grapefruit detail, more garland, detail on the molding, a brown door, steps, wrought iron fence. Do you see where I'm going? Like, you can make it as detailed as you want. Or the second card shows it a lot simpler for an option that's not holiday themed. Okay, so this one is very zhuzhed up for the holidays. I'm here for it. The station wagon, however, steals the show. I mean, I'm feeling like I want to be in that, like the Lampoons driving the Christmas tree home for the holidays. I think I did that out of avocado. It's a perfect little station wagon to drive on the street in front of those holiday buildings. Okay, so here's another version just for a non-holiday. I die cut that disc out of Harbor and I made some clouds. I'm trimming off that excess. 2 clouds kind of on the top with a sun. And now this one does not have to be interactive. You can make it interactive, but I'm just showing you if you want to make it non-interactive. That's also an option. Keep it simple. For the hilly backdrop, I did kind of a grassy hilly. You still get your street and your sidewalk down along the bottom. Those are those dies right there. And that skinny one kind of makes like a sidewalk above the street. Added details that you can do or not do. I did little tiny trees. I love how that kind of overlaps the sun up on that disc. And now for these little buildings and houses, they're much simpler just for every day. They don't have all the wreaths and the garland and the bits and baubles, but they're still equally beautiful. Okay, so I did that embossed hello on that tiny little banner. I added a heart right in the center. I did 3 brown doors, 3 gray steps, 1 wrought iron fence, and just kept it simple. Now I did back these houses with a little bit of white cardstock. I just freehand cut that to fit behind the windows because I noticed if you left the houses open like so and you put it on a grassy background, you're going to have green coming through the windows. So you might want to back your house with white, or you could also back it with yellow if you want to make it look like there's a soft light inside, like candlelight. That would be pretty as well. And so this gives you another look for the seasons, you know. Now I'm going to show you how to put this interactive portion together. It's very easy to do. Okay, first thing you got to do is create a card base. I created a standard A2 size card base. I guess the size doesn't really matter, but I'm just telling you it's A2. And I put some of that Fa La La pattern paper on it. It's light Harbor with white kind of snowflakes. I have my disc ready to go. You're going to need your disc, and then you're going to eyeball where you want it to be. So you kind of got to get the lay of the land where you want your disc to be and kind of have your snowy hill or whatever you're putting there, put it all down so you can see where everything needs to go. When you know where you want your disc to be, take a pencil and mark that hole opening, just like that. That's all you got to do. I mean, easy peasy. Now you're going to need some type of poker tool. I have my Tim Holtz retractable needle, and poke right through where you made that pencil mark. Be careful not to poke your finger, because I've done that before and I had to put on a Band-Aid. It's not the end of the world. And then you're going to need a brad. You're going to need a little brad. I think Concord Nights sells these. You put that brad through your disc hole and then put that through your poked hole. This sounds inappropriate. Okay, lightly close the brad. You can always tighten it later, but you want to get it to spin. You know, get that spinner working. So this will take you from day to night. Okay, now for your hilly panel here. You're going to adhere this down, but you want to make sure that whatever you're using doesn't get in the way of your spinny disc. Okay, so I'm going to do a little foam tape right along the bottom. I have so many different widths and thicknesses of foam tape. You just want to make sure that it's thick enough and that it does not get in the way of your disc. So I kind of just eyeballing that, making sure I have room, and put a little bit on the sides up near the top so that your panel doesn't get saggy. You know, nothing worse than a saggy panel, but you also don't want it to get in the way. Okay, couple little pieces right there. And then you're going to carefully center this and make sure that your hill covers the daytime of your disc. This is very similar to a card if you joined us for the C9 summer camp. I did an interactive card very similar to this, but it had a camping theme and it was so fun. Everyone loved it. And now we have one for Christmas and all year round. And the buildings, I can't say enough about how much I love these buildings. Okay, Now, if you want to, there is a little turn sentiment that you can stamp on your card to let the recipient know that you can turn it, because they might not know the magic that's about to happen. So I stamped that little turn with Harbor ink, since that pattern paper is kind of a light Harbor color, and it just says turn with a little arrow, and that'll take you from day to night. And a Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And here is the card number 2. This one's not interactive. It's stationary, equally beautiful, great for spring, summer, non-holiday themed. And that is the introduction to the new Over the Rooftop stamp and die set. Hello everyone, and welcome to the introduction to the new Stocking Stamp and Stitch stamp set and dies. This is the second Stamp and Stitch bundle in the September release. We had the Ornament Stamp and Stitch, and now we have the Stocking Stamp and Stitch. So you could stamp your stocking. It's got fa la 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 all over it. You've got the cuff, the heel, the toe, joy, peace, Noel, warm wishes, happy holidays, and Merry Christmas. You have a variety of sentiments to mix and match with your stamp stocking. Now for the die set, you have just the plain old stocking die. That can die cut your stamped stocking, but then there's also a stitching detail that you can add to your stocking if you want to stitch it. There's a cuff die, and there's also a stitching for the cuff. There's a scalloped cuff, some holly, a little swirly whirly, a toe and a heel and a heart. And I've die cut these all to show you the variety of ways you can put them together. So here we have the stamped stocking. I feel like this video is a tongue twister. Stamped stocking stitch stamp set. Okay, and then here is one that I die cut just with that stocking die out of poppy cardstock. I added some holly, the swirly whirly detail in white, and then here is one that's been stitched. Okay, so you can add the stitching detail. Of course, you could customize this in a variety of colors to really get colorful. And then here's another simple one, just a green stocking. This one has that scalloped cuff border at the top. I added the heart and then the heel and the toe. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put this together. I have a piece of parsley solid color cardstock. Here is your stocking die. Here is the stitching detail die. Just going to center that in the stocking die, tape it down, and then run it through your die cutting machine. I take this off camera, and then here you have that stitching. You could leave it like that. It actually looks kind of cool with those little holes in it, but if you want to take some floss and stitch it up, feel free. Here's a cuff. I'm going to add that stitching detail on the inside of that cuff die as well, just centering that, holding it down with some temporary tape, run it through my die cutting machine, and now you have a stitching cuff die cut ready to go. You can put those two together, and they look cool with or without the stitching. Either way, you have options. Okay, so here's what it looks like with the stitching on the right, and then here's the non-stitching on the left. I created a couple of cards using these stockings, keeping very traditional here with the red and green. I embossed that Happy Holidays sentiment in white on a strip of black cardstock. And then for the second card, I stamped the stocking. I used the coordinating die to cut it out, popped it up on some of that fa la la pattern paper. I added a bow and greenery from the Christmas Cloche die set, and that is the introduction to the Stocking Stamp and Stitch stamp set and dies.